Right, welcome back. Let me welcome our guest, Engineer Hassan Shaaban, former Deputy Head of the Peasant Syndicate and, of course, former Vice President of Al-Wafd Party. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We're speaking today about this Akhbar al-Yom organized three-day conference. Mm-hmm. And I guess we have to speak about the significance of such conferences in the first place.
Well, I really appreciate what Akhbar al-Yom is doing, actually. They're starting a good thing, getting businessmen along with the experts in economy, and everybody is forming. I would like to call it a workshop, actually. It's more of a workshop.
It included also workshops.
Yeah, it is a workshop. And it's a big think tank. Everybody is, pointing out his point of view. I think we need a lot of these conferences, if I may call it, in different aspects, not only economy, but if there is any major law or a move that the government will make, I think it should be presented to the people, and very thorough discussions should be made to reach the best law. I think we in a time that we all need to think together to improve our economy. We will not be able to afford to have somebody win on the account of Egypt. So everybody's getting their heads together, and let's keep our fingers crossed. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yes, I guess it was a real chance for getting ideas out of the box and brainstorming how to go with the economy on track. Yes. Let me speak here, let me discuss here the speech that was given by the Prime Minister. And in his speech before this conference, he said that Egypt's economic reform program is not merely aimed at propping up the state's budget, but is meant to improve people's living standards and make the Egyptian economy stronger. He was speaking about the government plan or economic reform plan at large.
Yes.
How did you read that? How is the government dealing with that?
I think since a very long time, I've seen a new phenomena, actually. The government is evaluating the cost of the reform and the return. And this is really a very significant issue, that we are making a plan that will cost us so much, and the return will be that much. And during the period of reforming, the government is trying to have the tools to be ready to face any problems that the poorer segment of the Egyptians will face. So we are evaluating the cost.
Facing
the cost of the reform and the return. Meanwhile, we are just watching the segment that I've mentioned, and we don't want them to suffer because they are the lowest income, and they are the ones who will pay normally for the reforming. So we just want to watch this very closely. Also, timing is very important. Timing is crucial in this case because we kept on pushing the problems for a number of decades, actually. And it snowballed, actually, and we had to put an end to this. So timing was imminent. We needed to put an end to this and face the economical situation once and for all and start really dealing with the problem.
Right. And I guess we have with us to take another opinion, Mr. Ali Wali, member of board of the Egyptian Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Good evening to you, sir. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, we're speaking about the venue that was opened by this 3 days economic conference that was organized by Akhbar al-Yom, and in which the Prime Minister has put before attendance the program made by the government. How did you read the speech made by the Prime Minister?
Well, the way I see it is that the conference is a great opportunity to get everybody together to try to push on the right direction. However, the current situation is that Egypt is facing a huge trade deficit and at the same time a huge budget deficit. And the way out of it is through either reducing our so it's either for the budget deficit, increasing revenues or reducing expenses. For the trade deficit, either increasing exports or reducing imports. And the way I've seen it to fix all of that is to increase our exports. And without a strong plan to increase our exports, we are on the wrong direction. Let's put it in this way. I've seen that the government is doing all its effort to fix the situation, but I would love to see a very clear, concrete national plan to grow our exports at the moment from around $25 billion up to Turkey, which is doing $144 billion, or up to Vietnam, which is doing $162 billion.
If I may just take advantage of you, sir, being with us, since you are a board member of the Chinese Chamber, and ask you about the Egyptian-Chinese economic relations. We've seen a visit by President Sisi to China. We've seen the Chinese president coming to Egypt. We've seen talks about opportunities of China in Egypt. How is the situation now?
Well, the situation now is that China has put a go global strategy since 2011 that wants the Chinese companies to go outside and invest globally all over the world. Who have benefited from that? Many countries. Egypt, up till today, not yet. We have very strong historical relation with China. The Chinese love the Egyptians love the Chinese. It goes well, but we haven't yet benefited from the relation. We could do much, much, much more. We should be running towards China to try to bring their companies to come and invest in Egypt, and they are ready. But we are not yet ready. We should be running to send our people to learn Chinese and to go and study there and know their culture. It's still on a very low. If I put it into a scale, I think we are 2 out of 10, while we should definitely go up to 6 or 7 out of 10.
Of course, we enjoy strong relations. We love the Chinese love us, but love is not the only case here. If we speak about chances, what kind of opportunities do the Chinese have here in Egypt?
The Chinese, so Egypt is a strategic location, number one, with cheaper employees, surprisingly, than China at the moment. An employee in Egypt takes 1,500 EGP. The one in China at the moment, after the devaluation, goes up to 4,500 EGP equivalent in renminbi. That's number one. Number two, we have free trade agreements with Europe and the US that the Chinese do not enjoy. So it gives customs free to Europe and the US, while the Chinese exports do have to pay customs. So these are two benefits for them. For us, it's pure industrial growth. So without countries to understand that industrial growth or industrial-led exports is the way to fix any developing nation, or most of the, let's say, with high population developing nations, countries will not see the right way. And this is what we can benefit from Chinese.
Yes, right. Mr. Ali Wali, board member of the Chinese Chamber. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. If we return back to our discussion, and the Prime Minister has put Egypt's 3-year economic reform program based on 4 main facets, or so between those: improving the country's monetary policy, trimming budgets and diminishing the public debt, and of course, we'll speak about point by point, and we'll remind you, boosting investment and growth rates, introducing social solidarity measures, because there has to be a kind of compensation, and carrying out joint national projects, including housing, electricity, infrastructure, and mega projects that were launched and will be launched later. If we speak about the first facet of this program, improving the country's monetary policies, and that is very important.
This is the key of the reforming program. Actually, I think we need to have a second look at our budget, the general budget, and change our attitude toward the general budget to a task budget. I mean, we have to allocate things and have certain goals to achieve. Unless we tie budgets to achievements, we will not be able to, accomplish what the Prime Minister wants. So if we let the general budget as is loose, without really fixing budgets for tasks, I think it will be very difficult to control our program.
Well, we all know that trimming the budget is not an easy task. We all know that we are filled with burdens. I mean, here we're speaking about foreign debts, domestic debts, that takes around or almost 70% of the budget already. And that the rest has to deal with many of our requirements, putting into considerations, of course, infrastructure projects that have to be carried out with, because they are important for the lives of people also, and for the projects. I mean, here, how can we really deal with the budgets?
I think the government is bearing a great responsibility toward we have about 18% unemployment, which is a very high, and it goes up to 30% for youth, younger people. So I think the government should be very wise in dealing with these issues. I think what happened recently when they actually took the decision to lift the pound and have a real value for the dollar against the pound, I think the banks actually have a responsibility to assist the government. Meaning, now you have a big amount of Egyptian pounds tied into time or bonds that will pay a high percentage.
20%.
20%.
Yes.
So how can you actually give loans to business if you're starting with 20%? So my point of view is that you're going to have to get into partnership with some of the 4,000 companies or factories that are not operational right now. Review the situation with the Ministry of Industry and see which of these factories, if we actually go into temporary partnership, like what Talat Harb did with Egypt Bank or Bank of Masr. They will have to inject money. Of course, they will not be able to give loans at 25% because so they go into partnership, temporary partnership for say 7 years. In the first 5 years, they get back the investment or the loan, and the last 2 years after they return, they get back the loan, they actually this is their profit. So we need to change the philosophy. Our banks are the vaults are filled with Egyptian money, and we are not investing properly. I think we need to change our philosophy. We need to be more daring. We need to be more sophisticated in evaluating projects. We have a situation that will not really allow us the luxury of just wasting time.
Actually, we're speaking about drastic measures that are being taken those days, and that we don't have the luxury even to return back
exactly
from having them, because we have waited much and there is no time or space.
As I said, I think austerity measures are also is very important, that the government will have to set up the example. And austerity measures is very important in squeezing the governmental expenses. You see, we are importing, our bill for importing is $80 billion US, while we are exporting only 18. We have a very big gap between both numbers. And the only way that we could actually improve the situation by industry and agriculture, even if we depend a little bit on tourism as a source of foreign currency, or maybe the Suez Canal, but still we need sustainable development to actually support our currency and reduce the gap between the two numbers. We need to have an ambitious program, and we have to have a cartel of companies that will actually block the gaps that actually things that we import are, we're being very hurt by importing stuff that we could actually manufacture in Egypt. Yes. So the burden over the Ministry of Industry is great. And I think the banks will have to have a program to cooperate with the private sector to improve their performance.
I guess that we have too many companies and mills that are not, or that who have really suffered during the past
6, 7
and
years.
it's time for those to be supported. Yes, the second point here is boosting investment and growth rates. And boosting investment is something very important. We are hoping for a 5% growth rate during the fiscal year of 2016-2017. Hopefully we can reach that by those means. But boosting investments. Unless,
along with the liberation of the pound and the dollar, unless we reduce the red tape and the routine of getting permits and to operate in Egypt, we will have a very difficult time achieving what we want. So we need a law, we need a system, we need actually to have a revolutionary measures in our investment system to allow investors to come and have their permission, as we always heard from one point.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop, and this should not take more than a week, maximum. So we have a problem. We need to also reconsider the price of land, the use of land by investors. All of this will have to be closely observed, actually.
Right. These are very important issues that I guess are very much to discuss those particular days, because the investment law is being amended.
Yes.
And if we want to really put an emphasis on the investment law, And yes, there are many points here that need a kind of review, including the taxation or the taxing system, including the facilities and incentives given by the government to the investor in order to come, the safe exit, for an instance. All these are points to be discussed. How important are all these points, and what kind of incentives can the government really give for investors to attract more FDIs?
I think we deal with land in Egypt as if, you know, it's something very, very rare. While we have, you know, vast areas of land, I don't know why we're making it very difficult to investors to have land, or maybe exaggerate in many cases in the price of land. We need to really look into this issue, and I think we ought to diagnose the problem. We have unemployment, and we give advantages to companies that will have a certain number of employees, tax exemptions. We need to encourage people to come. We are not really very inviting environment. We don't have an inviting environment, and we don't know really what to shop for. We need to shop for the right investors to come and to give us the production that we could actually use locally or export actually. So we need a clear program. We need to be inviting. We need to talk to investors and try to attract them. We will not just wait for the investors to come. We need to go shopping for major companies that are successful and bring them to Egypt actually. What is our plan after, you know, we have this program and we have the IMF loan and everything, and why not consider a plan for Sinai to be the new Hong Kong of the Middle East?
Let's hope.
Yeah, we need to be very ambitious, and we need to dream, and we need to have a plan. Unless really we have an Egyptian Wall Street, invite all the foreign banks to have, you know, their headquarters in the Middle East in Sinai, and consider it a large free zone. After a while, Sinai will be a very safe place. Hopefully, we could actually have our Hong Kong in Sinai.
We all hope for that, of course. Since we're speaking about drastic measures, then we have also to address what the government said, a kind of safety social network protection for the lower income brackets and the much needy people. Because there has to be a balance, otherwise how will people live?
What we've seen during the last year and a half, how the Ministry of Supplies and you know, organized the issuing of the cards that control the purchase of bread. I think unless we have a new ID system that identifies the really needed sector of the Egyptians, the government will be it will be a very difficult mission to direct the resources that are allocated for the poorer segment of the Egyptians in the right direction. So we need really a smart card for everybody. This ID card, what we have today, is not suitable for our programs. We need to have a microchip implanted in this ID card, so everybody, tax situation, birth dates, driving license, everything should be on one card. Unless we do that, we will not be able to segregate the needed segment of the people from the segment that actually do not really need any help from the government. So I think it's about time to do that.
Just ahead of this conference, two positive notes came, and important economic measures were taken. So, do you want to start with the positive notes?
Let's start with the positive.
Right. The IMF loan, and of course the change of Egypt's rate by the Standard & Poor's agency from shaky or minus B territory to stable one.
Yeah.
And those were two, of course, plus, of course, the tourism and the return of tourism. And that is a very positive note for Egypt, particularly in the foreign currency. How did you receive those news? How do you think we should be dealing with?
Actually, the minute that IMF realized that Egypt is getting to be safe and stable, you have to realize that we've got the first segment of the loan.
The first tranche, yes.
That's the first tranche on the 11th or the 12th of this month. So actually, once the IMF felt that we are stable and we are serious in carrying out our measures that we actually signed on, the money was released immediately. I think we now enjoy the confidence of the IMF. I think we are on the right track. We pointed out to the IMF authority that we are serious and we have certain measures and we have to watch while we're making a reform program, and they appreciated really our problems, and they understood, and we're getting ahead with them. So actually, I think the loan was a good step to regain confidence in our economical situation. Hopefully, getting ahead in the international, degree of confidence. This will actually give us more freedom in the future to have more support from the seventh industrial countries and more loans on easier terms, probably.
Hopefully, of course. I guess so, that our approach is to diversify our relations in all fields, particularly the economic ones. And that should have been taken long ago. But anyway, the measures that were taken also ahead of this conference and which were very much discussed during this conference. As you said, the liberation or the liberalization of the pound, the reducing of the fuel subsidies, of course, prices.
And the tax, the new tax that will be the added tax.
Yes, the VAT.
Yes, the VAT.
The VAT. How do you view those measures?
Well, it was a necessity, actually. We actually, did you see any discomfort in the society after all of these things? People were expecting that, and we needed to get ahead. Unless we apply these things, the three things that have taken place, it would have been very difficult for us to apply our reform program. So that was a must, actually.
So you asked me, have you seen any change? Yes, we have seen an increase in the prices of goods.
That will be for a while, yes.
And of course, the ups and downs of the dollars. Of course, on good note, the dollar has went down today.
It will go down and it will go up again.
15.5.
It's a free currency and it's subject to demand.
Yes, but that also reflected on as I said, the prices of all goods, and I don't know why all goods, even those which are not important,
the value of things. People are claiming that the value of things have changed. This is what they claim, actually.
So again, let me here reiterate the importance of submitting what we can say monetary policies and monetary bodies that can really counter the side effects of what drastic measures taken can really reflect on the country.
Well, consumer protection is one of the organizations that could actually help. Improving the quality control over Egyptian products that we're gonna, hopefully that we can export. A lot of measures that could be taken actually to improve our exports and the local consumers' situation. Our products that requires, we do not have a good database as well. We need to know what do we produce, because unless we know what we produce, it will not be easy for the Egyptians to use Egyptian goods. So we need actually to advertise, and we need to promote our products and improve our quality.
Yes. I guess as a last note, just in 20 seconds, because that's all I have, the future of the Egyptian economy?
If we are serious and we stick to our reform program and bear with the government, it will take us another couple of years to recover. I think we have a very good chance to have a strong economy after a while, with all the gas discoveries and the land reclamation. And, you know, let's keep our fingers crossed that we will be able to cope with our programs.
Yes, Dr. Hassan Shaaban, Deputy Head of the Peasant Syndicate, and the former Vice Chairman of Al-Wafd Party. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Tomorrow would be another debate with another colleague. Good night.